In utopian, multicultural Australia, successive governments have operated on a simple premise: the best way to drive economic growth and fix our demographic time bomb of a rapidly ageing population and a declining birth rate is to simply crank the immigration dial to the max. And surely nothing at all could go wrong. Well, aside from the crumbling infrastructure and the fact that a modest family home now costs a literal king's ransom, what's the worst that could happen? As it turns out, when you import the world's most deep-seated cultural and social frictions, guess what? Some of our new Australians just won't get along. This strain on social cohesion culminated in the horrific Bondi terrorist attack last month, where Islamist extremists opened fire on a Jewish celebration, leaving 15 people dead. And how does the government respond to this breakdown in social unity? With more hate speech laws, of course. Whatever you do, don't point the finger at immigration policy. The issue isn't that silly. It's that we haven't curtailed your speech enough. Just close your eyes to the ongoing mass immigration experiment. Instead, shut up, watch your mouth, and don't say anything bad that might hurt someone's feelings. The ABC recently reported, Labor's hate speech laws pass with support from Liberals. And yes, there was generally bipartisan support, if you ignore the fact that the coalition is currently eating itself. Liberal Senator Alex Antic crossed the floor to vote against his own party, and the Nationals abandoned the Liberals entirely, calling the whole thing an overreaching mess. But that didn't come without consequence. The ABC reported, Senior Nationals expected to quit or be dumped after defying shadow cabinet. How dare these opposition members cross the floor and actually oppose the government? Although, after I recorded this video yesterday, breaking news came in. Senior Nationals quit front bench after defying shadow cabinet on hate speech laws, and then 8 remaining National Party MPs quit coalition front bench after policy split. The Nationals, facing a moment of absolute moral clarity, are drawing a very firm line in the sand. The coalition, if you can still call it that, has effectively ceased to function as a unified front. Some of you have been asking me to talk about these new laws, but just a small disclaimer. Although I know these laws are vital to the future of free speech in Australia, I'm just not that interested in making legal videos. However, I'm going to put that aside for a moment and show you, at least, how we can access the text of these laws ourselves, along with a little bit of my own analysis and commentary. This is the Parliament of Australia website. We want to click on Bills and then scroll down and click on Bills Assented to. If you sort by date, you'll see these two bad boys, the Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate and Extremism, Criminal and Migration Laws Bill, and its partner in crime, the Firearms and Customs version, noting that these are both dated 20th of January 2026. Let's open the first one, because this is where the government officially trades your right to speak for a bit of social cohesion. Scroll down to the document section. The version we want is the one labelled as passed by both houses. You can click on the little PDF symbol to download it. Here's the 56-page masterpiece of social cohesion greatness. The firearms one is 93 pages long. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of trawling through legal documents. It would take me weeks to get through it all. It's amazing Parliament rushed through all these laws in just a couple of days. It seems like for something so pivotal to our fundamental rights, rushing would be the last thing you'd want to do. Okay, so in the Criminal and Migration Laws version, let's look at a few examples. For instance, Part 2, increased penalty for using a postal or similar service to menace, harass, or cause offence. You definitely don't want to send someone a letter that causes them offence now. All it says is for section 471.12 of the Criminal Code, repeal the penalty and substitute it with imprisonment for 5 years. It doesn't tell you what the existing law was. You have to go hunting through the 2-volume, 1,000-page Criminal Code Act yourself to find that. Yes, it's a right pain. I've done the digging for you. Here's the particular section regarding causing offence through the post. The old penalty was 2 years imprisonment. Why they couldn't just put "it used to be 2 years" in brackets is beyond me. It's like they're trying to rewrite history by omission. So, if you send someone a letter calling them a dickhead with stupid opinions, and a court finds that offensive, you could be looking at 5 years in a cell. I mean, there's so much stuff here, I don't know where to start. They've introduced so-called hate crimes. For example, in Part 3, the aggravated sentencing factor for any federal crime, if the person's conduct constituting the offence was motivated, whether wholly or in part, by hatred, distinguished by race or national or ethnic origin, then that will be treated as a more serious offence. They've essentially introduced thought crimes. The government isn't just punishing you for what you did, but how you felt when you were doing it. If you rob a shop because you're hungry, well, that's one thing. But if you rob it and it's found out in court you don't like the owner's nationality, you must be given a harsher sentence for your bigoted thoughts. Part 5.3b talks about prohibited hate groups. Couldn't they have just said prohibited groups? Of course, this is to protect the Australian community or part of the Australian community against social, economic, psychological and physical harm. Who gets to decide which organisations count as being a hate group? Who knows? But I'm sure it'll be used responsibly by the powers that be. To be fair, Section 114A.5 notes that the Director General of Security, currently Mike Burgess, may provide written advice to the Australian Federal Police Minister, currently Tony Burke, recommending whether an organisation should be specified as a prohibited hate group. Although the law also notes, the AFP Minister is not required to observe any requirements of procedural fairness in making that decision. Furthermore, the law states that the Director General is also not required to observe any requirements of procedural fairness. So basically, if the government decides that your organisation is a hate group, well, you're a hate group. That's it. You have no right to dispute the allegation before you're outlawed. A chess club that advocates for the total supremacy of the white pieces over the black ones, that's psychological harm. You're banned. A political group advocating for less immigration, oh, that sounds a bit too much like social harm to me. You're now banned. If you're a member of one of these groups, 7 years imprisonment. If you're recruiting, 15 years. Take that, you dirty chess club bigots. Of course, there are defences. My favourite is that you're safe if you perform an official duty or function for the Commonwealth, a state or a territory. So as long as your hatred is part of official government business, you're fine. It's only us mugs who have to watch what we say. I'll leave you with one final detail that sums up this whole mess. In the migration section, they've actually gone through and changed the word would to might. So, for example, in Section 501 of the Migration Act, the part about refusing visas on character grounds, it used to say there must be a risk that the person would engage in certain conduct. Well, they've changed that to might. If there's a risk they might engage in criminal conduct, or they might incite discord, their visa can be refused or cancelled. Since when does the word might have any legal bearing? It's completely subjective and speculative. Take Elon Musk, for instance, who happily calls out the Australian government publicly. The minister just has to say, "I reckon Elon Musk might incite some discord," and poof, no visa. It's no longer about what you've done, it's about what a politician thinks you might do. Look, as I said, I don't have the time or the patience to go through this legislation in its entirety. But what I'm starting to see, and I think it was obvious to begin with, is that essentially the government is saying, let's combat hate and social disunity by throwing people in jail who say the wrong thing. I don't know if that's a valid assessment, but that's certainly what it feels like. But I think the biggest problem with these new laws is this. They may make hate illegal, but I guarantee they won't stop people from hating one another.